kids? Well, thank you for joining us today to talk about public education in Oregon and the future of our children. To create a world-class education system in our state and to make sure that all of our children have a pathway to success in the 21st century, we need two things. The first thing we need is more money along the way. Clearly, our system of public education is underfunded at all levels. We need more resources to reduce class sizes, to add back things like art and music and technical and vocational training. We need to make sure we have adequate resources for professional development for our teachers, and we need to clearly expand the capacity of our post-secondary institutions. That's the first thing we need. The second thing we need are two bills that are currently sitting in the Ways and Means Committee waiting for action on the floor. We need to make sure that kids are not left behind in this session of the Oregon Legislature. And notwithstanding the important progress we've made on jobs and health care, we have yet to make progress for students. Last year we set an ambitious objective of ensuring that by 2020 we would have a 100% high school graduation rate. Now if you look around, we have some members of the class of 2025 here, and I want you to notice that all of these children are wearing their graduation class stickers. Not 67% of them, every last one of them. So we've set the goal that in 2025, this entire class is going to graduate from high school. And we also expect that at least 40% will get 2 years of post-secondary education or training, and another 40% will get a baccalaureate degree or higher. Now, those are ambitious goals, and we've challenged ourselves to meet them by creating a coordinated 0 through 20 system of public education. It focuses our resources on those critical aspects of student achievement to ensure that all of our children can achieve their highest potential, and by creating an effective system of early childhood services that ensures that all of our children will be ready to learn when they get to kindergarten, will be reading at first grade, and will be reading at level when they come out of third grade, regardless of color, regardless of income, and regardless of home language. That's the commitment we've made to Oregon's children, that's the commitment we've made to Oregon's future, and we are not going to fail these kids. Now, the bills that we are considering today that are sitting in Ways and Means, House Bill 4165 and Senate Bill 1581, take the next step on this agenda. That's the product of an incredible coalition of educators, advocates, parents, teachers, early childhood delivery specialists, practitioners that's been working for over a year to bring us to this point. And I want to take just a moment and tell you a little bit about this coalition and those who have worked together to bring us to this moment today. The Confederation of Oregon School Administrators, the Oregon Education Association, the Oregon School Board Association, the Chalkboard Project, the Oregon Community Foundation, the Oregon Business Council, Associated Oregon Industries, the Oregon IDEA, the American Federation of Teachers, Oregon Chapter, Oregon Business Association, Oregon Small Schools Association, Oregon Schools Employees Association, Stand for Children, and the Oregon Association of Educational Service Districts. That is a broad coalition that believes in the same thing, and we're here today, as I said, to make sure that this legislative session doesn't leave our kids behind. We need these bills for a number of important reasons. We need them to move beyond No Child Left Behind so that we can focus our resources on whether we're going to provide the best support for our teachers and the best support for our students. We need these bills to move forward on our common pathway to 40-40-20 and achievement compacts that allow us to focus our state investments on those critical aspects of student achievement. And we need these bills to support local innovation and innovation in our educational system. The Oregon Legislature must not turn its back on this broad, committed coalition that we've gathered here today. They must not turn their back on our teachers, on our advocates. Most importantly, they should not turn their backs on our children. Oregon's on-time graduation rate last year was 67%. We have with us today the class of 2025, and we've promised them that by 2025 we'll have a 100% graduation rate. We need to make sure we're ready for them when they enter kindergarten this September, and with your help, I'm absolutely confident that we'll be successful. Thank you very much. Now we have have a number of 3 other individuals who we want to speak today. Charlene Williams, who's the principal at Roosevelt High School, who I believe had a 14-point increase in graduation rates this last year. Very remarkable. Charlene?
I'm truly honored to be here as the principal of Roosevelt High School. It's truly a great day to be a Rough Rider because across this state, our students have been publicly and passionately embraced by a community that says we want to support Roosevelt's rise. We were awarded $7.7 million by a state Department of Education that said we believe that you can rise. Increasing our funding and flexibility allowed us to overcome the negative impact of No Child Left Behind sanctions. We are not proud of where we are, but we are proud that we are making serious progress. Roosevelt has experienced double-digit gains in reading and mathematics scores and the highest gains in graduation in Portland Public School District this past year. These gains would not be possible without the collaboration between school, district, and union leaders who were able to lay aside differences and put students first. Roosevelt, in one semester, mind you, was able to claim the Oregon State Teacher of the Year and 4 National Board certified teachers, making our school the school in the state with the highest number of nationally certified teachers. Under this new proposal, we can say goodbye to No Child Left Behind and design our own system that I hope will fund schools and districts at optimal levels and allow state and school districts to mutually define expectations through achievement compacts. The compacts would measure student mastery of key academic skills, for example, reading well by the end of 3rd grade and being on track to graduate even early from high school. This is not about watering down expectations for schools or districts. This is about creating a system that provides students, families, and schools with the support they need to raise student achievement in a way that is meaningful. What has not been meaningful? Students being told that their school is terrible and they can transfer. Portland Public Schools, thanks to the progressive and visionary Superintendent Carol Smith, uses similar measures already called milestones. The milestones have helped us to assess results, focus limited staff time and resources on proven strategies that provide timely interventions and set targets to further improve student outcomes. Since we have put these milestones and the transparency in place, our schools have made gains across the district, and we are working to achieve and narrow the student achievement gap. So all children, regardless of zip code, income, or skin color, deserve schools that hold them to high expectations while supporting and equipping them with the requisite skills to succeed in life. Dr. King said this, "Man is man because he is free to operate within the framework of his destiny. He is free to deliberate, to make decisions, and to choose between alternatives." Thank you for allowing us to help all students have real choices. We appreciate and fully expect your continued support and belief in our amazing students and the incredible transformation that happened not only on the Roosevelt campus, but across this state. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I'd like to ask Morgan Anderson, who is from Intel and also the chair of the OVA Education Committee. What class do we have here?
We have class of 2020. This is my daughter, Kaylin. Well, good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of the business community and my employer, Intel, to pledge our support of the very important legislation that we're discussing today. Senate Bill 1581 is absolutely critical for the advancement of our state and really for our students' lives. I look at all of these young students here and we see all of their potential, and we just need to make sure that we have the legislation that will support them. The achievement compacts are very, very exciting because it actually ties what our educational goals are with how we budget. It makes perfect sense. We do it in business. We know what outcomes we want to have, and we tie it with our budget, and that's what the achievement compacts will do. As well, it gets rid of artificial silos in the education system. The silos between pre-K, K-12, higher ed, it creates one continuous system, what we want in our state. and it really provides an important pathway and a future. The business community is desperate for a qualified workforce. This is the path to get us there. And as I said, this is my daughter, Kaylin. And for the business community, it's not only about the qualified workforce. It's a very, very personal legislation for all of us. We're parents, we're grandparents, we're neighbors, we're mentors, and this legislation will really help all of our children. Kaylin is class of 2020, but that's really just her stepping stone. That's her high school diploma year, but she's gonna go on. And I don't know if she's gonna get a 2-year trades degree, or if she's gonna get her 4-year bachelor's degree, or if she's gonna absolutely thrill her mother and her mother and potentially get her PhD in engineering. No pressure. But whatever she does, we need this legislation to make sure that these scenarios are a real possibility for her and all of her classmates. Thank you so much.
Next we have Nubia Green, who's a 3rd grade teacher at Highland Elementary School here in the Salem-Keizer district.
Hi. Hi. My name is Nubia Green, and I teach over at Highland Elementary here in Salem. I've been a teacher for about 8 years, and I'm here to support this bill because I feel fortunate to work for a district that really fosters collaboration with teachers. As a teacher, we have been able to work this year in a tri-school partnership with 3 schools and get together, look at data, form groups for all levels to meet all kids' needs. And so I've seen it work. Teacher collaboration, professional learning communities is what we call them. We base all our teaching on standards, and we set target goals for every single one of those kids. Whether they are a lower level reader, medium level, high level, we set it so that they're all growing at whatever pace that they're doing. We set goals for all of them in reading and in math. And so these teacher collaboration times really allow us to have the time to talk about the standards, the teaching, the goals, what are you doing right, what's going wrong, how can we fix that, and really get to one goal. As a district, Salem-Keizer Schools, I feel like if we were doing that across districts in all of the state, all of our students' needs would be met at whatever level that we're doing. And so from pre-K all the way to graduation, and as Morgan mentioned, maybe beyond. We want our kids to go beyond that, not just that. And so I think it's like top-down. We have great leadership, and it goes all the way to the teachers and all the other staff. And I really believe it. I believe that teacher collaboration, teacher groups with very good resources can really allow us to get to those growth targets. Thank you.
So we'll be happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure my colleagues here from the various groups would also be happy to speak up.
Governor, on the other bill, HB 4165, you offered some amendments and raised some concerns about turf wars between some of those groups. Do you think the passage of that bill will be eased and the turf wars eliminated by those amendments? I'd still hear rumblings.
Yeah, we did work on a set of amendments with many groups involved, including Head Start, which did endorse the bill. The bill came out of committee unanimously, down to Ways and Means, and I think it has very, very broad, deep support, and it's obviously essential for success in K through 12 to make sure that all of our kids are ready to learn when they arrive at school, to help us erase these very troubling achievement gaps that occur disproportionately among the poor and among our communities of color. So that's the key foundation. And of course 1581, as we just heard, sets us up to actually focus our resources in the K through 12 system and beyond.
So what in your mind is holding up the bills at this point?
Well, I think it's probably tied up in various negotiations going on around the building, some of which have little to do with these bills. I'm very confident at the end the legislature will do the right thing. Let's remember that Senate Bill 909 created the process and required us to come back with a approach to early childhood and to the 0 through 20 system, passed with huge bipartisan majorities. Both of these bills, as I said, have a huge support in committee, and I'm confident they'll be coming forth for a vote before we go home.
The Investment Board and Achievement Compact, just from talking to people around the building, it seems of all your reforms, this one might be in the most trouble. And one of the things I've heard is that, despite the turnout here, that it doesn't have quite the buy-in, especially from the legislators, that some of your other proposals did. And I don't know exactly why that is, but are you feeling the same thing? And if so, what's the problem?
Yeah, we've been told by various members of the legislature that there are issues that need to be worked out, but I'll remind you that none of those issues have been brought forward. Nothing's been presented in writing, no amendments. The bill went through a hearings process, was amended, and came out with only one no vote. And so, again, I believe that the bill has broad support, and at the end of the day, that will pass as well as the early childhood bill.
Governor, one of the things that has come up when people talk with us is very few people actually know what the bills will do. And even when we talk to people who say they support it, when we ask them, they can't really, it's more trust us. This is going to be a good idea, but the devil is in the details. The proof is in the pudding. And those, are you sort of asking people to trust you?
Well, yes, I asked them to trust me when I asked for their vote to be elected governor. I suppose you could say that. I think it's important to recognize these bills have been vetted extensively. We had a series of hearings all over the state, public hearings, community meetings. I attended the one out at Rock Creek campus a few weeks ago. Hundreds of people engaged in that. We've had a testimony from the Oregon Education Investment Board, public hearings on this bill in the Senate Education Committee. So I feel it's been very, very well vetted. The amendments, the bill itself has been out for well over a month, giving people the opportunity to read it. And maybe what you should ask, instead of saying, I'm not sure what's in it, you should say, well, actually, have you actually read the bill?
20 years ago, you were part of a different process that gave us SIM and CAM. How can Oregonians be sure that this will have a better outcome than SIM and CAM?
Well, a couple of things. I think we know a whole lot more about the science of education than we did 20 years ago. We understand what works and what doesn't work. SIM and CAM did not have a connection to the whole early childhood space, which is absolutely critical. As you know, an awful lot of what affects a child's ability to learn and be successful occurs before and after school, not in the classroom. And if these children bring challenges with them into the classroom, it's not surprising that you have difficulty with our graduation rate. So this is a much more integrated approach. We have tried to engage the best thinking, the best thought leaders, we engage teachers and practitioners who are involved in teaching. So I think it's a much more integrated, unified, and well thought out effort than the SIM and CAM.
Governor, you held a press conference yesterday, another today. Will you hold another one each day until the session's over or until you get these bills through? What's your plan going forward?
Well, my plan is to do whatever I need to do to get bills through.
Has there been any progress on these bills or the health exchange bill since yesterday, or anything else that's?
I don't know that they've been posted. I know there are a lot of conversations that are going on in the building. I think very few of them actually have to do with the health insurance exchange. That's another bill that had a public hearing and was passed out unanimously with all the Democrats and Republicans in the House sending it down to the floor. So again, I just think this is the sort of the usual, shall we say, labor pains at the end of a session, and I think we will give birth to a wonderful set of bills for our kids.
Governor, you said that if they don't pass this bill, that the legislators are essentially turning their back on the children of Oregon. Fairly strong statement. Can you amplify that a little bit or defend that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to amplify it. Right now, we know that 44,000 kids are born each year in Oregon, and 40% of them are considered at risk from some socioeconomic or relational risk factor that puts them at a huge disadvantage to becoming independent, successful learners. Those at-risk kids are disproportionately represented among the poor in our state. They are disproportionately represented among our communities of color. That's 18,000 kids a year, and if we walk away from the early childhood bill, we're simply saying it's okay in the state of Oregon to throw 18,000 kids over the transom every year. I don't buy it, and Oregonians don't buy it, and at the end of the day, neither will the legislature.
Governor, there are as you've mentioned, there are already a plethora of programs, and school districts have great opportunity to do some of these things. Why is this legislation specifically needed to accomplish your goals? I don't think people are arguing with your goals.
So the early childhood legislation is needed because in spite of the almost $800 million we spend every 2 years on kids 0 through 5, you still got 18,000, you got over 100,000 at-risk kids in Oregon today. There are great pieces of that program. Head Start happens to be one of them, but Head Start only serves about 14,000 kids, and there's another 90,000 that aren't ever going to see the Head Start program. So we need to integrate those programs, and we need to base them on outcomes, and we need to coordinate them, and we need someone in charge, and that's the Early Learning Council to actually oversee it. That's absolutely essential. The other piece of legislation that's needed is obviously we need to find a way to get out from under the No Child Left Behind law, which will take some of the most successful schools in terms of progress, huge increases in graduation rates or student achievement, and be labeled as failures because they didn't meet some arbitrary federal standard, at which point we are told prescriptively how to spend those dollars, and in many cases those dollars are being spent on things that actually don't work. It doesn't make any sense. Neither does a 67% high school graduation rate. We know that there are places where you can turn that around. Roosevelt is a great example of that. We need a system to take these islands of excellence that exist today in our system of public education and create a culture of excellence and support our educators and support our schools. That's what the achievement compacts are about. That's what creating an integrated 0 to 20 system is about. You can't do that without these two pieces of legislation.
I've been told that House Republicans are pushing 4 bills. Any chance that you'd be able to support any of those bills? 4 education bills.
I haven't seen any.
Well, one of them is an OWEB opt-out. One of them has to do with public contracting. You're not aware of these bills?
I'm aware of the concepts. I've never seen actually a bill in a committee, nor, to my understanding, have there ever been hearings on those. I do not support the OWEB opt-out. I've told that to the speaker and others, simply because what we're trying to do with our healthcare system is to try to aggregate more covered individuals to give us more purchasing power to drive rates down in the insurance market, and OWEB opt-out actually takes us in the other direction. I don't want to comment on those other bills until I've seen them. I'm not aware that there's actually bills in the draft.
I want to let the kids stretch their legs, so our speakers will be available in the conference room over here to the left. And thank you very much.
Thank you.